Snow drifts across the Ardennes forest, the air is brittle, every breath turning to mist. A German Panther tank grinds forward, its steel tracks crushing frozen earth. Inside, the crew is calm. For months, they have faced American Shermans whose shells bounce harmlessly off their armor. The Panther is their fortress, their confidence unshaken. The commander peers through his periscope. He sees movement in the trees. American armor, he smirks. Shermans. He mutters, they cannot touch us. But this time, something is different. Across the valley, an American M36 Jackson tank destroyer waits in ambush. Its crew is tense. The loader hefts a massive shell, heavier than anything he has handled before. Sweat beads on his forehead, despite the cold. The commander whispers, fire. The crack of the 90mm gun splits the silence. It is sharper, louder, faster than the familiar 75mm. The shell streaks across the frozen air. In an instant, it slams into the Panther's frontal plate. Sparks erupt, steel buckles inside the German tank, chaos explodes. Smoke fills the cabin, one man screams. Another scrambles for the hatch. The commander's confidence vanishes. He realizes, too late, that the armor that once made them invincible has been pierced. The Panther burns, the crew flees. The battlefield has changed. For the first time, German tankers face a weapon that can kill them head-on, and for American crews, the 90mm gun is more than steel and powder. It is salvation. The story of the American 90mm gun begins not on the battlefield, but in the laboratories and workshops of the late 1930s. The United States Army, watching the skies darken over Europe, knew it needed a weapon capable of striking high-altitude bombers. The answer was a massive anti-aircraft gun. The 90mm M1. In training grounds across America, soldiers learned to aim the weapon skyward. They practiced tracking imaginary bombers, swinging the heavy barrel with precision. The shells were enormous, each weighing nearly 40 pounds. Crews struggled with the weight, but they respected the gun's power. When fired, the 90mm roared like thunder, hurling shells into the sky at blistering speed. At first, the weapon was seen only as a guardian of the skies. But war has a way of reshaping priorities. By 1942, reports from Europe were grim. German tanks, the Panzer IV, the Tiger, the Panther, were appearing with armor that shrugged off American 75mm shells. Sherman crews described the frustration of watching their rounds bounce harmlessly, while German guns tore through Allied tanks with ease. The Ordnance Department began to ask a question: could the 90mm designed to pierce bombers be turned against tanks? Engineers tested the idea. Steel plates were set up at proving grounds. The 90mm fired. The results were undeniable. Armor that had resisted the 75mm crumpled under the impact. Soldiers whispered among themselves, this gun could change everything. Debates raged inside the ordnance halls. Some argued it was impractical, too heavy, too unwieldy. Others insisted it was the only path forward. The decision was made: the 90mm would be adapted for ground combat. Workshops buzzed with activity, mounts were redesigned, breeches were reinforced. Crews trained not just to fire skyward, but to aim across the battlefield. By 1943, prototypes were rolling out. Tank destroyers were fitted with the gun. Heavy tanks were designed to carry it. American crews began to train with the new weapon. They lifted the heavy shells, felt the recoil, and marveled at its destructive power. For the first time, they believed they had a weapon that could stand against the German giants. The 90mm had crossed the threshold. No longer just a guardian of the skies. It was now a weapon of the battlefield. And soon, it would prove itself in combat. The 90mm gun was powerful, but a weapon is only as effective as the machine that carries it. For the Americans, two platforms would become legends. the M36 Jackson tank destroyer and the M26 Pershing heavy tank. The Jackson was born from urgency. By late 1944, U.S. forces needed a vehicle that could mount the 90mm quickly. Engineers took the existing M10 tank destroyer chassis and replaced its turret with one large enough to house the gun. The result was the M36 Jackson. Open-topped, fast, and deadly. Crews learned to fight differently in the Jackson. Without a roof, they were exposed to artillery and air attack. But the open turret gave them visibility, speed in reloading, and a sense of raw power. The loader hefted the heavy 90mm shells, sliding them into the breech with practiced rhythm. The gunner adjusted elevation, sighting targets through the scope. The commander scanned the horizon, calling out ranges. When the gun fired, the recoil shook the turret. Smoke billowed, and the crew braced themselves against the blast. They knew they carried a weapon that could kill German armor, head. The Pershing was different. It was not a stopgap but a statement. America had long relied on the Sherman, a medium tank designed for mass production, but by 1944, the Sherman was outclassed. The Pershing was designed to change that. Heavy armor, wide tracks, and the 90mm gun gave it the presence of a true battlefield equal to the Tiger. When Pershings rolled into Europe in early 1945, American crews felt a surge of confidence. No longer did they need to rely solely on numbers or flanking maneuvers. They could fight directly. Inside the Pershing, the crew was protected by thick steel. The gunner's scope revealed targets with clarity. The loader worked in cramped quarters, muscles straining as he lifted the massive shells. The commander gave orders with calm authority. Together, they formed a machine of destruction. German crews noticed the difference immediately. Reports describe encounters where Panthers and Tigers, once dominant, found themselves matched. The sight of a Pershing advancing with its 90mm gun, aimed was enough to unsettle even veteran tankers. One German soldier wrote, "The Americans now had a tank that could face us." We felt the balance shift. The Jackson and the Pershing were more than machines. They were symbols. The Jackson represented urgency, adaptation, and the determination to fight back. The Pershing represented parity. Together, they carried the 90mm into battle, and together, they terrified German crews. December 1944, the Ardennes forest is silent, blanketed in snow. German Panthers surge forward, their engines growling in the cold. Inside, crews are confident. They have faced Shermans before. They know the routine. Shells bounce. Armor holds. Victory follows. But this time, the Americans are waiting. Hidden among the trees, M36 Jacksons lie in ambush. Their crews are tense, every man aware of the stakes. The loader grips a 90mm shell, its weight pressing into his arms. He slides it into the breech. The gunner steadies his aim. The commander whispers, "Target acquired, fire." The crack of the 90mm shatters the silence. The shell streaks across the snow, slamming into the Panther's frontal plate. Sparks erupt, steel buckles. Inside the German tank, panic explodes, smoke fills the cabin. The driver shouts, "We've been hit." The commander's confidence vanishes. He realizes, too late, that their armor is no longer invincible. Another Jackson fires, another Panther shudders under impact. One erupts in flames, its turret blown skyward. Another grinds to a halt, smoke pouring from its engine. German crews scramble to escape. Their fortress turned into a coffin. for American soldiers, the relief is overwhelming. They have faced these beasts before, powerless. Now, with the 90mm, they can fight back. One gunner recalls, "When we fired the 90, we knew it would hit hard. It gave us courage." The duels continue. Panthers advance cautiously, their commanders wary. Jacksons fire from hidden positions, shells tearing through armor. Pershings join the fight, their heavy guns roaring. The battlefield becomes a symphony of destruction. Muzzle blasts. Impacts. German diaries capture the fear. One tanker writes, "We no longer felt safe. The enemy's fire reached us even from the front." Another admits, "The sound of the 90 was enough to make us hesitate." The Battle of the Bulge becomes the proving ground. The 90mm gun, once an anti-aircraft weapon, now dominates the battlefield. German crews, once confident, now fear every crack of its fire. American crews, once desperate, now fight with renewed strength. The Ardennes forest, frozen and silent, becomes the stage where the balance of power shifts. And in that moment, the 90mm gun earns its reputation as a weapon to be feared.